Good afternoon. Welcome back, guys. We're back. We're here at our fourth week. Time is going so fast. This is our fourth week of our 12-week summer series based upon the book, What Happened to You by Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Bruce Perry. This is a book that mesmerized and enlightened the mind of most all of its readers after having often been asked the question, what's wrong with you? And now, because of the phenomenal work of these two authors, the question now has become, what happened to you? But we want to salute the CEO of TDR Brands International, Tierra Destiny Reed, for her vision of When Women Heal. And When Women Heal is a safe haven where women come and connect. They heal, they grow, and they become empowered. So, for those of you that do not know me, I am Dr. Glenice Harris Wilson, media host for When Women Heal. I'm associate professional counselor, pastoral counselor, and professional coach, where I am the founder and CEO of Living Connected LLC. And on behalf of Tierra, I want you all to be invited and join our Facebook community by going to When Women Heal community. Also, please visit our website at whenwomenheal.com. You will find so many and so much of fascinating things out on our website. But make sure you go and join the Facebook community for When Women Heal. Tonight, guys, let's jump right into this because she's waiting. We have the phenomenal, I'm so excited. I just cannot wait to get into her interview. Lander B. Stovall. Lander, welcome, welcome, welcome to our 12-week summer series and you being our fourth guest. Welcome.
Thank you so very much. I am delighted to be here, and I hope something I say will be a blessing to someone.
Absolutely. And I'm sure it will. When I looked at your bio, we've got so much to talk about in our session tonight. So, but before we start, I want to kind of get into because there's so much you're going to be able to tell us about you and all the magnificent things that you do. But when we talk about the book, let's jump right into when we talk about the book, our book on what happened to you. When we talk about this, how do you relate the book to what happened to you? How do you relate to this book?
The way I relate to this book is early on in the book, making sense of the world. I love that because I've always believed that all of your experiences, the places you go, the things that you do have an impact on you, either positively or negatively. And as I look over my life, some things that started early on in my life at an early age, things that happened to me, helped to cultivate the person that I am now. So I do believe that your early experiences, the people, the places, and your personal history play a significant part in who you become as you grow.
What do you feel played? Tell us a little bit about the significant points of your life that you feel played a part on who you have become now.
Um, Primarily my mother and my grandmother. They were, oh my God, they were the greatest women that I have ever known. If somebody asked me who did I aspire to be, it would be my grandmother and my mother. My grandmother, first of all, because she was a straight shooter. If you asked her something, she was going to tell you the answer straight out. No chaser, just you gonna take the shot. My mother, however, she was just so compassionate and she wanted to sugarcoat the world to you. And my grandmother would come back and say, don't set her up for failure. She needs to know what's going on. So living with my mom and my grandmother, um, it was that family setting. My mother never left my grandmother's side since the day she was born, and they both had two husbands, and one died, and then they had a second marriage, and they were still together during the marriages. They lived together. They bonded together. I never heard them say a negative word to each other. So I know that love, that kind of love can exist. And I have been striving for that kind of love and that kind of bond all of my life.
So let me ask you something. One of the things that Dr. Perry and Oprah talks about in the book is the still face paradigm. And where it comes from is a lot of times um, parents are not always engaged. They are not always present. Even if they're living in the same house, doesn't mean that they're engaged or they're present. Doesn't mean that because your child goes to school every day or you cook a meal, doesn't mean that a parent is always present or engaged. And the still face paradigm is pretty much when parents are not engaged and they are emotionally absent. We talk about being emotionally disconnected, right? And according to Oprah and Dr. Perry, they talked about how children start to feel distressed, and that's what you sort of see on their face. You start seeing some tension, or that what people say, the smile turns upside down. So talk to me. Did you experience that, or was your journey somewhat different than a child that have the still face syndrome?
It was similar to that in that, like I said, my mother was married twice. So she had two sets of children, three girls, my older sisters from her previous marriage, and then three children after that, 5 years apart from my older sisters. I was the firstborn girl to my father, and then two brothers after that. So with the distance between my sisters and I, sometimes I felt like my mother had just gotten tired, because a lot of the things, the nurturing things that I should have gotten from my mom, she passed those tasks on to my sisters to tell me some things, to make sure that I knew some things. But she was present in my life because I could always go to her and get the answers that I needed. But I think she felt like there was a distance between us, uh, um, not not love distance, but an emotional kind of distance. So I don't know exactly how my parents came to be. I just know that they did love each other.
Mhm.
I did find out, how we get old enough to start counting the months and things like that. I ran across my mom's marriage certificate, and I counted the days, I counted the months, and I found out that, my mom was pregnant before she was married to my father,
Mhm.
which I respected her so much. I never would ask her anything about that. I just never would, because of the person that she was. She was a proud woman. And for me to even think about doing that hurt me more than to ask her the question. But I knew that that was something. So I didn't know if that was something that that carried over, from her being pregnant prior to being married. Because, a lot of times back in those days, if the man impregnated a woman, it was assumed that they would get married, So the love that I saw between my parents did not seem to be that was a disconnect between the two of them.
Mhm.
'Cause my mom broke her ankle, and she was in grad school, and there was no elevator to the third floor where one of her classes were. And my dad carried my mom up 3 flights of steps to class for 2 nights a week for a semester until her, so that's love.
Mhm.
That's love. And I saw that throughout my childhood and as I was growing up.
Mhm.
So, like I said, it wasn't so much that we had a disconnect. I think that she felt a little bit of distance between us. So my sisters, as we grew into the 12 and above, when we started to get those menstrual cycles and things like that, that's when I felt the disconnect, because I waited to hear that talk from my mom, but I ended up getting it from my sisters.
So kind of help me understand, because I heard you say, that was just, I felt so much love from my mother and my grandmother. And, I had that piece, right? But
Mhm.
then that emotional piece, you kind of felt that was not as strong that maybe you felt as an adult now that should have been when you look back on it. How?
Um, I think more than that, it was my comparing my relationship with my mother and one of my best friends who's still my friend today, and the relationship that she had with her mother, where they could talk about any and everything. There was nothing that they could not talk about, nothing. And I compared myself to that, where I was not getting that, but I was always shy. I was always quiet, that quiet child that did not see herself as being brave enough. I'm going to use that word to ask those questions.
Right, right. So, about how old were you at this time?
At that time, I must have been about 14, 15.
Mm-hmm.
I think about 14, 13, 14. That's when you go to school and they show the film on becoming an adolescent, how your body goes through those changes. So that's when I think I noticed it. When my friend came back to school and said she and her mom had talked about it extensively, I didn't have that talk with my mom. I had it with my sisters.
Wow. So you feeling like you had that love and you cherish that love, but then I didn't have the emotional piece, um, and seeing it among friends, right? Did
Yeah.
you ever associate that at some point to say, this kind of don't feel like it's valid. I just feel like something is not in sync. Did you still feel like you were living a solid life, although you were missing that emotional piece?
Well, it just really didn't seem like I was missing it. I just became aware that that
Right.
was that was like one piece of the puzzle that just wasn't there.
Okay,
Because yeah,
so when you realize, wow, that does I I don't have this piece right here. That piece is missing. When you became aware, what did the awareness do for you?
well, I think it made me say that when I have a daughter, or if I have a daughter, I want to be more connected to her.
Mhm.
But and I must say, as much as I love my daughter and as much as we communicate, I still see the distance between us on certain things, and I feel the same distance that my mother must have felt. So I can see that piece of the puzzle missing between my daughter and I, because if I don't bring up the conversation, I don't think she feels like she can come to me with it. But because I have a strong sense of who she is, and what she likes, what she doesn't like, and I can look at her and tell something's not quite right. Or if I call her, I can tell in her voice that something's not quite right, and she'll give me a piece of it, and then I might have to start pulling some of it out. And then because of the way it was with my mom, sometimes I think, well, maybe you're overstepping your boundaries,
Mm,
in some of
mhm.
the things that you're asking her, if she doesn't feel the need to share.
So knowing that you and your daughter have a close relationship and you still kind of feeling like, well, this kind of resemble what I saw between my mom and I'm kind of seeing the same pattern with my daughter and I. And I don't know how much or in depth you want to go into it, but have you had the conversation with your daughter as to your experience that's similar to this with that was with you and your mom?
I started an attempt to do it,
Mhm,
but it felt like a little uncomfortable for her,
mhm,
for me to talk about that, because of the relationship that she had with my mom. It
mhm,
was it was like, the relationship that I had with my mom was a little bit different
mhm.
because of the way I had to work. They spent a lot of times, both my kids spent a lot of times with my mom. So the grandmother that set in was totally different from the mom.
Mhm.
that I had. So she could, the things that she got to talk to with my mom are some of the things that she didn't get a chance to talk with me about. But
Mhm.
so it looks like my mom, and we do that as grandparents, because I'm a grandparent too. We try to make sure that those things that we feel like we may not have done quite well, we try to see if we can do that with our grandkids. So yeah, trying to get that connection with her without making her feel uncomfortable, it matters to me.
Wow. This is so interesting because I guess if I had to do um, any research on it, I'm curious as to what I would find because I think you're right. When you have daughters, daughters spend a lot of time with grandmothers. I had the same experience. My daughter spent a lot of time, although I was as close and loving with her. She was the apple of my eye as a girl, but yet she spent a lot of time with my mom, and she would tell people now, my grandmother was like my second mother, you know. And so I don't know if it has to do with some type of emotional attachment as women, as girls. And you're right. I think part of that is the grandmother is going to be different with that granddaughter than she was with the daughter.
And
You
exactly, because that's what I started out with about my grandmother being able to, that straight shooter that would tell me the questions that I couldn't ask my mom. I could go to her and she would give me the straight answer, the truth. I mean, I even asked her, I think she might have been about 85, 80, 85.
know.
I asked her about sex. I said, Big Mama, can you still have sex at your age? And she says, as long as you can find somebody to have it with. So feeling comfortable enough to ask your grandmother that,
Right, right.
so
Now,
that's the comfort level.
would you have asked your mom that same question?
Heck no. No. No.
Oh, wow. Now, I'm wondering if your daughter will ask your mother that question.
She probably would.
Wow.
She
Wow.
probably she probably would have. Yes, she
Wow.
probably would have. So like I said, I don't know what that is, that generation that goes backwards, Uh,
Hmm.
and sometimes it may be a matter of, like I said, respect, and not wanting your mother to know those kinds of questions are in your head in the first place.
Hmm. Exactly. So, based upon the book talks somewhat about feeling that you're enough. You know, we look at ourselves as the little prissy little girls, and you start to grow up, you start to develop, you become a woman. At what point in your life? Because Vanda, let's face it, your bio is your resume is bio is just phenomenal. It's unmatched, it's untouched. At what point in life did you recognize and feel that you were enough?
um I'm gonna say about 10 years old, to be honest with you, because
Really?
yeah, my mom was a teacher, and her best friend was a teacher, and the parish that they taught in, they was away from about 30 minutes or 40 minutes away from where we live. So they rode to school together, and she had a daughter also. So my mom was like, whatever she could put me in, and my sisters and brothers would put whatever that was to be real well-rounded people, she would do that. So then it became like a little competition between the daughters, as to how we excelled. And if I played piano, then she would play piano. If I played clarinet, then she would play the clarinet. And I got tired of it. I
Mhm.
got tired of the I don't think they realized that they were comparing daughters. And
Mhm.
so I was like, if she started to do it, I don't want to do it anymore, because I didn't feel like I wanted to I didn't want to win the contest. It's always been enough for me to know that I can do something. I don't need the world to know that I can do it. As long as I know I can do it, it's enough for me. I
So
know
do
that I'm enough.
As long as it was self-satisfying for you.
Yes, yes.
Wow. Wow. How do you feel differently, or do you feel differently about yourself now than you did, growing up?
I'm pretty much the same way, as a matter of fact, because you know how in business, they set goals for you, and if you
Mhm.
achieve a certain goal, you'll get this or you'll get that or what have you. I have friends of mine, if there's a prize involved, they are going all out to get that. If I gotta buy all of my supplies myself to win, I'll do that. That's not me. If I earn it from the work that I'm putting in and I get recognized for it, that's gratitude for me, because I got it because I did my best. It wasn't because I tried to do it sideways. I tried to manipulate the whatever it is. If I get it, I get it on the merits of who I am and my work ethics.
Wow. And it sounds like, because you identified this as, so much, even as early as 10 years old. So, and you know this for yourself, we talk to so many women that have pain points from their childhood. Do you recall having any pain points?
Um, I think the pain points that I had from it was when I decided that I didn't want to do something, and my mother knew that it was something that I enjoyed doing. So I could feel the disappointment in her because she never understood why I would drop out of a program or didn't want to do it anymore. So
Mhm.
I think those were the things that hurt me because I saw the disappointment on my mom's face. Even now, because of circumstances in my life, I had 2 semesters left of undergraduate work, and I was not able to complete them. And even now, I struggle with whether or not I want to go back and get that degree. And I ask myself, is it for? Are you getting it for you, or are you getting it because it's something that your mother wanted for you that you did not complete?
So is it some getting the degree or going back to complete the degree in such a small time frame? What will it do for you? Will it satisfy something in you? Do you feel like you missed something not having it? What will it do for you?
I think for me, it would complete that cycle of education that I know my mom wanted for me. Because I'm retired, I'm a business owner, and I mean, I'm living the life that I want to live now. I do exactly what I want to do. I'm not forced to do anything that I don't have to do.
Mhm.
So it's a choice now, and I wrestle with myself over it. Why do you want to go back to school? It's not gonna do anything more for you than you've already done.
Mhm.
I'm satisfied with the accomplishments that I've done. I help the people that I want to help. The thing that I did that was most satisfying for me was when I went to ministry school, and
Mhm.
I completed that. So that for me was more rewarding than getting a BS, in education,
Mhm. Mhm.
because
You
that's
know,
what my mindset is now, to help people overcome.
and I hear all of your growth. I hear growth. I hear strength. And speaking of being empowered, I hear the power behind you. I hear resilience behind you. But is there anything you've ever been frightened of?
Frightened of?
Uh-huh.
Whew, let me see. Yes. When when my husband died, my kids were 2 and 3 years old,
Mhm.
and that frightened me. It
Mm.
frightened me to the extent that I realized that they only had one parent. So there
Mhm.
were things that I wanted to do with them that I didn't do with them because of the risk that was involved. And it was something simple like going roller skating with them. I knew that I was the only parent that they had. I knew I was the only provider that they had. And if I fell, broke a leg, hurt a knee, couldn't go to work, that would, that would diminish the things that I needed to do for my kids. So things like that, those were the things that really, kind of hurt me, that I couldn't do, that I wanted to do with them. They're saying, come on, mom, you can do it. And I knew I could. I think, and then maybe that's why I'm such a daredevil now,
Wow.
because they are adults now. That may be why I feel like I can do those things, climb a stone mountain, go hang gliding, whitewater rafting, zip line, those kinds of things at my age, because I feel free to do them now.
It's so interesting because I can totally 100% relate to this part because my daughter was 9 and my son was 6 when their father passed away. And although we were divorced at the time, we had not been divorced that long. But what happened once death came, it was a wake-up call to say, you really are a single parent. Now it's for real. You are it, And I think that's why even today I'm nonstop. I'm steady working. I'm steady trying to do. I'm steady trying to have. Steady trying to make it happen. And I think it comes from I have been that way for so long because, my children are grown now, but I'm still always looking, what's next? What's next? What do I have to do now?
Yes. And I'm the same way. Even though I'm retired, I'm an insurance agent and I'm a travel agent. And I have another little job that I do. I'm an unarmed guard licensed by the state of Louisiana to do so. But I do sporting events and I enjoy it because I get to meet people, So it's like one of my friends tell me, she said, why are you working like that? I don't know how to stop. I've been in that mode for so long that I retired and I said, I'm not doing anything else. I planted flowers, I did the gardening thing. 6 months later, I'm finding something to do. I was like stir crazy. So it's a psychic that you do when you know that you're the only one that you have to depend on. And if my kids need something, I want to be able to be there for them.
Right.
We're all each other have. My son's single, I'm single, my daughter's single. We are very, very close knit. It's a threefold card. That we're in. When we don't talk to each other a lot, and my daughter said, "Mama, you can't say anything because this is who you made us to be." They have jobs and they're entrepreneurs at the same time. They saw me doing what I needed to do, so they do what they have to do.
Wow. And I was going to ask you, when it comes to your children and your grandchildren, what have you taught them or what have you implemented into their lives to make sure that they feel that there are enough?
Well, I tried to do what my mother did. Make sure that they got culture. Take them out to dinner. Let them know what that looks like. Get a menu. Choose your food. Etiquette classes. Those types of things to instill in them. Little trips so they can learn that their zip code is not the only one in the world, and that things outside of their zip codes. That they need to see so that they can strive to do better in their lives than I did or than their mothers did, because that's what we ultimately try to do, make the way for our kids to have a little bit more comfort than we did.
Right, exactly. When you think about the book, What Happened to You, a lot of people have very diverse experiences of things that happen to them throughout their life, right? When you think about life, how do you define a good life?
A good life is for me, and it comes from my parents. A good life is just simply for me having a roof over your head, being able to pay your bills, being able to do a few of the things that you desire to do, having what you need and some of the things that you want. Because when I travel and I'm on that plane, it always comes to mind. I close my eyes and I say, this little girl from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, that grew up with living in a house with grandparents, parents, and 5 other siblings in a 3-bedroom house. And here you are on a plane going to see another part of the world. I never thought that. I never thought that that was something that I would be able to do. It was a dream, and now, I mean, I am just so hooked on it. I intend to see every continent at least 3 more times. So those are the things, to be able to pay my bills, have some left over, have some savings, and to just be able to chill. Even if I'm working like this, I can do it in my mind and in my heart, because it's something that I don't have to do. It's something that I enjoy doing.
What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful. Oh, Lord. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for, and I'm tears welling up, because I'm grateful for how they turned out through everything that I had to go through. That they're still participating adults in society, that they know how to give, they have compassion for people. They can't see anybody that's in a need and don't help them if they can. And that's the greatest gift that I feel like I gave them, is to care about other people and not just think about yourself. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that they saw it in me and they grabbed hold to it.
Oh, wow. Wow. One thing I've learned about you over time, that I've watched you and I've followed you, I know you have a very, very strong belief system. I know you minister to a lot of people, and you minister all the time. What role do you feel your belief system has played in your life?
It's my all in all. Even in my youth, I knew who God was. Even in my youth, I didn't know what it was, that I had a gift of prophecy. Even as a child, I knew things. But during those times, if you said something, they didn't take it as a gift from God. It was on a negative side. You had to be a witch if you knew these things.
Right.
So it shut me up for some years until I found out what that gift actually was and how to hone in on it. And I would ask God, what do I do with this? You've given me this. And is it for me? So when this happens to this person, that I'm supposed to help them? Or is it for me to tell them to beware that something is about to happen in their life, and you got somebody that you can lean and depend on? So for me, even though my girlfriend used to tell me, say, when I told her I was going to ministry school, she said, it doesn't surprise me, because you never did go too far to the left anyway. I remember when I was in college, this is so funny. I went to church and the sermon was so moving to me that I thought I wanted to be a nun, and I'm Baptist, okay? I'm Baptist. I wanted to be closer to God. I wanted to serve. So I had this little dress, and I'm in college now. It was a high neck dress, the only one that I had, white at the top, and it was blue at the bottom. And I had this cross. I put that dress on, I put that cross on, and my friends were like, what in the world happened to you? I want to be a nun. I knew I wanted to serve at that time, but I did not know why. I didn't know what the gifts were. I didn't know any of that. So God allowed me to have do those youthful things that we do, when we're young and foolish and we think we have the rest of our lives ahead of us. So when he turned me around and I finally figured out that he needed me for service, and that he needed me for such a time as this, and that he had preserved my life on numerous occasions when I, as a young woman, was in places that I never should have been, and I knew I shouldn't have been there, and God made a way out for me. So I know that that scripture holds true in every situation, that if you don't want to do something and you change your mind in the middle of the activity, God will allow you a way out.
Wow. Wow. is there anything in your life from your child, from that cute little girl up to this beautiful woman, is there anything you would want to do different or you would change if you could?
I think what I would change would be to speak up and not be so shy and not be so afraid of telling the truth when I needed to tell the truth. Um, I never wanted to get someone else in trouble, and I always took responsibilities for my own actions. Uh,
Mhm.
if I was told to not to go somewhere and I went and something went, sideways, I took responsibility for that. So I wouldn't tell what
Mhm.
happened because I didn't want to get anyone else in trouble. And
Mhm.
even to the point where when I was 5 years old, I was molested by one of the deacons at the church who would visit my home.
Mm.
And um, and I didn't really know what it was at,
Mhm.
at the time, but I knew it wasn't right,
Mm.
but I knew that if I told my grandfather, who was this big, big man, that he would hurt him, he would kill him, you
Mhm.
know, and I didn't want that for my family. So I didn't say anything. And I put it in the back of my mind so far back in my mind that I forgot it happened until a few years ago when I was in Africa with When Women Heal, and I was talking to another young lady who had been raped and molested also, and I was telling her that I had been raped twice, and
Mm.
so we were sitting there, we were talking about it, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. No, you were not raped twice. You were raped 3 times, actually raped 3 times, and molested as a child once. But I had put it so far in the back of my mind because I couldn't tell anybody. I didn't want to get my dad in trouble because I knew what he would do.
Mhm.
That somebody had hurt his little girl, his little princess, the one that he used to carry around on a pillow. You
Mhm.
know, I would want to speak up now and
Right.
tell somebody because whoever these people were, they have done this to somebody else.
Right.
So that's
So
the thing that I would that I regret not speaking up.
when you came to the realization about that, what effect did it have once you relived it again?
Oh my God, it was very unsettling. I called them incidents.
Mhm.
I turned them incidents. I couldn't say molestation. I couldn't say rape. I
Mhm.
call them incident. So I didn't want to make them so noteworthy in my life as to them overpowering me when in fact they already had. They
Mhm.
already had. And the only one that I would talk about was the one that resulted in a pregnancy, and I had to abort the child uh,
Mhm.
because of my age, and it was just something that I knew that I was not ready for.
Mhm.
That pained me to my core because that was not my belief system, and I would go about year after year for about at least 5-6 years after the abortion. I was saying, well, this would have been their birthday, this would have been, they would have been this many years old, and that kind of thing. And so that's one of the things that I regret, that I didn't say something.
Mhm.
And that plagued me for a long time, that uh that would have been another child.
Right. Right. And I'm hearing as you were sharing that, I kept hearing the word guilt and healing, guilt and healing, guilt and healing. And so on this side, it happened, and you probably felt ashamed, and we can throw out a number of different words, right?
Yes.
Guilt and shame and all of these things. But then on the other side of going through is healing,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And somebody that's on Facebook right now, just might be, you never know who you're speaking to. When you
Yeah.
speak into the world, you never know who it is that you're speaking to.
Right.
Somebody that's on Facebook right now may have been molested, may have been raped, may have had to abort a child. Vander, I want you to tell them that's listening, what does it feel like when you allow yourself to face what happened and then allow yourself to go through healing? What does it feel like to be on the other side?
For me, I think for me, because of my faith in God
Mhm.
and being ashamed of I call myself a murderer.
Mm,
I went through that. What if your friends knew that you were a murderer?
mm,
What if they knew what you had done? And once I realized that I could really take it to God, ask for his forgiveness of that, and know that it's back here somewhere, I don't have to worry about it, that it was taken care of at the cross, and that the blood of Jesus covers all my sins, all of them, including that. That's how I can walk with my head up. That's how I can feel good about the choice that I made, because at that time it was the only choice that I had. That's
mhm.
the way I felt. Even though now, I don't know even now if I would have put the child up for adoption. I don't know if I would have done that or not. But the choice that I had
Mhm.
with a legal abortion, the question on there was, and I had to fill this application in out with tears in my eyes. Will is the life of the mother in danger? And when I read that question, is the life of the mother in danger?
Mhm.
And deep down inside of me, I had to say yes, because the life that my mother wanted for me, the life that I wanted for me, did not include an infant, did not include a child. So,
Mhm.
yes, my life, the way I saw it working out and growing into this woman, yes, that life was going to be affected. It was in danger of not becoming the woman who I thought I was going to be.
So
So
it's
that's how I
danger.
had to process.
You
That's how I
associate
processed.
you associated with danger, just not physical danger. Nobody's going to kill me, but it's the
Yes,
emotional and the mental
yes,
danger that it was going to put me in.
yes, yes, yes.
Hmm.
I was not going to be able. I just couldn't. No, I couldn't even fathom it.
Yeah.
And then the child was a product of a rape, so even more so.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I see this child, as loving as I am, could I not remember how he came to be?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for government to tell you that I don't care how the child was conceived and take that away from a woman,
Mm-hmm.
even as a godly woman, I'm torn,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that God forgives all.
Right. Right. Wow. Wow. That's amazing. And I look at you and let's kind of talk a little bit about you, you're a retired postal worker, a speaker, an actress, a mother, a grandmother, a travel specialist. You've had a limousine service, a boutique, event planning, weight loss, all of these amazing things. But keep in mind, you were at the post office for 31 years before you retired. You are author, and I probably left out something somewhere. Can you please, for the life of us, tell us how in the world have you done all these amazing things, and just kind of talk to us about who your story, who you are today?
Um, I am this amazing woman
Yes, you are. I
that's
can vouch for
gone
that.
through everything a woman could possibly go through in her life, and I overcame them all. Was it hard? Yes. Did I get depressed? Yes. And I asked God why do you allow these things to happen to me? And he told me that simple as me talking to you, I built your shoulders for it. I built you for this because I know you can handle it. And as a testimony to someone else that you can get over this thing, that there are so many things in life that you can do. I dibble dabbed at everything I thought I was big enough to do, because I wanted to. I wanted to try it all. And so many people now, they're looking for the likes on Facebook. They want to join this group, and they want a community and all of this. I'm my own community.
Wow.
I'm my own community because I can get in here, I can get out, I can move here. And I thought about doing a Facebook community. But as that little girl with the competition who wanted to get out when she didn't want to do it anymore, that's not who I am. I don't want to have a community and then Landa decides that she want to fly all over the world, and you've told somebody that you're going to be here every day to mentor them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm this person. Don't start something that you don't intend to finish. If you can't muster up that last thing, I don't care whether you feel good or you don't feel good, you got a headache, and you got somebody depending on you, you better get up and do it.
Is there anything that you offer people now?
Only thing I'm offering now is insurance and travel. And I do one-on-one counseling as it comes up. If you want to talk to me about something, you can reach out to me, and we can go over a gambit of things. Am I a counselor? No, I'm not a counselor, but I have a counselor. And I've been through enough things to tell you the do's and the don'ts.
I see that you
PhD in life.
And if they feel that you can get any higher than that, you can, right? So no. I got so much to offer in that area. I see that you're an author also. Tell us about what you've written.
My first book was Thank God I'm Saved, Now What? And it's a book that tells you about the Bible. It's biblical principles in it. And this book came about for my grandmother. She was born on November the 1st, All Saints Day, and she had passed away. And to honor her, I wanted to do something for her. So I sat down at 12:01 and I finished at 12:01 the next day, just getting up for some water and getting something to eat. And to actually write the book, I was pushed to it because we were having young men that were coming in our church from a boot camp. And there may be about 30 of them, and maybe 20 of them would come up to the altar and give their lives to Christ. And I was sitting there and I was admiring them, and I was sitting there looking, I said, well, Lord God, they saved, thank God they saved, but now what? Who's going to give them the literature? Who's going to give them those things that they can't get out of the Bible because they don't know how to read it, And I gave them in this book all the things that we used to get in a Baptist training union, the Beatitudes, how to pray, what God says about forgiveness, speaking in tongues, the whole gamut of things. And start the book off by looking at the caterpillar that was trying to get out of the shell. He was under my tire on my way to church, and I'm looking at what in the world is this ugly bug? And my first instinct was to run over it, just kill it, And so I started watching it, and the outer coat was just kind of shaking, and it was, I could tell that this thing, whatever it was in a frantic situation. So I stood there and I watched. And as I watched it come out of that shell, it was the most beautiful monarch butterfly that I had seen. Wow. And so it prompted me, and God told me, see, this is the way you look. From my point of view, you are all ugly, but once you get me inside of you, once you come out of that shell, you are the most beautiful thing. You can fly and you can flourish. So we don't look at the outer person. We don't look at the deeds that they've done. We look at who they can be in Jesus, and all of that washes away. Wow. Now, my second book trials, troubles, and tribulation, or walk by faith to victory. That's my life story. That tells about the rapes. That tells you about the infidelity. That tells you about the business deals that went wrong in my life. That tells you how and why I got raped for being disobedient and going somewhere where my parents told me not to go. So, and it tells about my parents and my siblings. So it's my life story in print. That was the way that I could empty myself, get it all out, all of the ugliness, all of those things that I had gone through, and give it a testimony to someone else who's going through those things, that do not think that they could overcome it, but you overcome by the word of your testimony and forgiveness. You have to forgive. And you hear people say it all the time, forgiveness is not for you, it's for the other person. It sounds so cliche, but it's the truth.
What is forgiveness to you?
Forgiveness is to walk up to somebody that hurt you and tell them, I forgive you, because you did not know what you were doing at the time. Whether or not you accept what I said to you or not, I'm good. I am so good because I have told I forgive you. And that's troubling. That's troubling to someone who's done some things to you that I have in that book. But it made you stand tall and hold your head up to know that you can walk away with God's goodness and God's blessings.
You talked about forgiveness, but just out of curiosity, Lander, and you talked about the people that hurt you and all of this. After forgiveness, have you had any reason, or did you just happen to ever talk to these people again?
As a matter of fact, yes. The last chapter in the book, and I want to talk about that because this is just such an amazing testimony of who God is. It talks about a partner in life and a business partner that we went our separate ways. You're going to have to read the book. I'm not going to tell you all the story, but that partner left me with $30,000 of IRS debt that I am still paying. I've paid off half of it. But this year on Easter Sunday, God told me to ask them on hallowed ground to help me to pay this debt, because I had got an attorney, we were going to court, and God slapped me in my face with my words of forgiveness. He said, if you've forgiven them, you need to walk away from this lawsuit and let me handle it, because vengeance is mine. If you have truly forgiven this person, you need to walk away and drop this lawsuit. On Friday, my attorney called me because of COVID, things had stopped, okay? And he said, what do you want to do with this lawsuit? Are you going to continue this, or what do you want to do? I said, let me pray about it. I said, I'll get back to you. And I prayed about it. And God gave me an answer through one of my morning meditations that said just that. Forgiveness and vengeance is mine, and walk away from whatever it is you think somebody did to you, because I'm your source. And could have slapped me in the face because it came on that person's birthday, okay? So it was so to the point, I couldn't do anything but, okay, I'm not pursuing this. And I'm not bringing it up anymore. I'm just going to pay it. You paid half of it. You're almost done with this thing. Let it go. And then Easter Sunday, God told me today, ask for help. Put your pride aside and ask for the help. And that person turned to me and told me with tears in their eyes that they were going to help me more than I knew. And ever since then, they have been writing me a check to help me pay it off. That's how much, when you believe in the power of God and you hear him for yourself and you know that it's him, that's how much.
Wow. Wow.
That's how much.
Wow.
So to answer your question, have I talked to the people? Yes.
Wow. You are just amazing. You are such a a blessing. You're so phenomenal. And even before we came live, just what you poured into me. I'm grateful. I'm thankful that you are who you are. And thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to interview you today as well. Guys, this was our fourth week. Don't forget, we'll be back here again next week at 8 o'clock p.m. And hold on, Lander, because I've got my main question. I got. But next week we're gonna have Pamela Adams, and Pamela that there is a silver lining each day, and that your past does not define you. So I'm not going to get in all of what she believes. She's got a lot that she's going to be coming back with us next week. So we look for our Facebook family to join us again next Sunday at 8. No, it's going to be the following. It's going to be the 11th, because next week is the holiday. So we won't be here next week, but we will be back the following week. And don't forget to please join us on Facebook with our Facebook community. Please join our Facebook community, ladies. And also don't forget to check out our whenwomenheal.com website. So Lander, I got the big question. You ready?
What's the big question?
Always have to ask everybody a big question at the end to close us out. I keep hearing a term about you, and you got to tell me, where did this come from?
Okay.
Where does God Mom come from?
God Mom comes from Tierra Destiny Reed.
Ask me, how did I know that? I figured that. I knew it.
Yes, I met Tierra in St. Croix with Johanna Samuel with her Surrender It. And when we met, Johanna was taking us around the island. I had met Johanna before, and I came in for the conference. And so it's so funny. I told Tierra, I said, I just told my friend that God told me that I was going to be going to Africa. I said, I don't even know how, I don't even know why, whatever. So we were touring. And so Tierra said, yeah, I'm taking a group of ladies to Africa. And I looked at my girlfriend like this, and she said, and so I told Tierra, I said, Tierra, I'm going to Africa with you. She didn't know me from Adam. I said, I'm going to, so we got to know each other. I told her one of the stories that's in my book. And she's like, I can't believe that. I can't believe you did that. I can't believe this. She said, you're going to be my godmom. I looked at her, I said, I'm going to be your godmom. She said, you're going to be my godmom. And so from then on, it's Godmom Lander. So most of our friends in our sisterhood with Tierra, they call me Godmom Lander.
Wow. Wow. I just wonder, I say, now I'm going to ask that. I'm going to get to ask that question tonight. Where did Godmom come from?
That's why, because they know they can ask me anything and I'm going to tell them the truth.
Wow. Yeah. And that's what we look for Godmoms to do, right?
Yes.
All right, guys. Thank you all so much for joining us for another night. And we'll see you all in 2 weeks. We won't be here next week. Take care. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.